Hi, I'm Brianna Cundiff, and I'm here at Schmitt Music Bloomington with Mike Halstenson, the director of the Northern Symphony Orchestra. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Brianna.
How's
Nice
it
to see you.
going? Nice to see you again, too.
Yes.
So, we've got a couple questions for you just in advance of your retirement from NSO.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
So, thinking back to the beginning,
Yes.
what prompted you to start NSO? What was the origin story?
Well, it took a while, and this includes Ed Schafel, who is our concertmaster with the orchestra. We were both teaching in Anoka Hennepin and teaching orchestra there, and good friends, and we had been talking for a long time about how nice it would be to have an orchestra up in the area. Actually, I was thinking about this. I worked with a fellow by the name of Bruce Phelps, who was the choir director at Anoka High School when I was teaching there, and he was dreaming about his own chorale or a choir, and so we would sit during breaks and talk about wouldn't it be cool, for you to have your own chorale and for me to be working with an orchestra. And so that was really inspiring, actually. And Bruce was braver than Ed and I, and actually started the chorale a few years earlier, 2 or 3 years earlier than we did. So when he started thinking about it, he just did it. And when we started thinking about it, we thought about it and thought about it. Okay. Ed, as you know, we give him the nickname Dr. Cautious. So
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that does make sense, doesn't it? So it took us a little longer to do it, but finally it was and I don't remember the years, but we were both working with the Minnesota All-State Orchestra, and so we drove to Bemidji, and that week, the drive to Bemidji, hanging out during the week, and the drive back. That's when we sort of made the decision. Let's start working on this. Let's do it. And of course, in those days, it was a phone call. It was call people you knew and ask them if they want to play. And so our very first concert at Faith Lutheran Church in Coon Rapids was a string group only. And I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, about 25, 26 string players and so on. And that was the beginning of it all. That's when it started.
Fantastic. Would you talk a little bit about your background as a composer, a teacher, director? How you kind of came into the profession?
Sure. Yep. As a composer, I started being interested in writing things down when I was really young, like 5th and 6th grade, and we have kind of a story that we laugh about in our family, in the fact that when I first started doing this, I was so young and so naive about things. I didn't know that you could buy manuscript paper, and so we had an old typewriter at home on the farm, with the old type, Leroy Anderson.
The real deal.
Yeah, the real deal. And I discovered that if I put a blank sheet of paper in there and put a pen or a pencil up in this one spot, I could move the cartridge like that and then flip it over and do that, and I could make my own manuscript paper. So my mother years ago found up in the attic the very first piece that was written on manuscript paper that I made off of the typewriter. So we laugh about that all the time. But then I did a lot of writing. I wrote all through high school, and then in college started writing a lot, and since then it's just been lots and lots and lots. I think that because I ended up teaching in the high school, so much of my composing was for school groups and things like that.
High school level.
Yeah, and when the choir directors needed something, and they'd say, "Can you write a 2-part men's choir thing on something like that?" I mean, it's been a lot of that, and of course I wrote for my orchestras and the bands, and all of that. I ended up going to school with undergrad degree, a performance degree in clarinet, and it was kind of funny that I was writing so much at the end that I got done with the recital and got the degree and really never played clarinet again ever, and so I ended up doing way more writing, way more some piano playing and things like that, and all that. And then when I moved down here in the early 80s, I was given the opportunity to conduct the North Suburban Community Band. And that was really my first kind of conducting experience, especially with adults.
Sure.
And so I started doing that, and had a church choir job, and then the Lake Wobegon Brass Band came around, and the Northern Symphony, and so I've been doing that, ever since, really. Yeah.
Okay, focusing back on NSO now.
Yeah.
How would you say the group has developed over the years?
Oh, well.
I know you started out as a string orchestra.
Started out as a string orchestra, and then invited wind players, and as I said, most of the beginnings was making phone calls to people that you knew. We weren't an established orchestra, so there was no real name. There was really nothing that drew people to it. So we had to sort of build it from the ground up, and what's happened since is that the orchestra I think is a really healthy orchestra. We have good numbers. We have we can have, if we need, we can have a 90-piece orchestra easily, and depending on the music that we play. But because of this and so many involved, we've been so lucky that we've had continuous auditions now with the orchestra, and so now we're not at a point where we're calling, or necessarily it's finally getting to the point where people are getting a hold of us and auditioning to be in the group, and it's been so healthy. And I keep saying this to the orchestra all the time. One of the best things is that we have younger people that like yourself. You're like 22, right?
Sure, something like that.
Yeah, and but no, we do have a lot of younger people that are auditioning, joining the group, and being really vibrant members of the group, and that's so fantastic, because we've all been around community groups where the average age is 67, and that's fine. That's all great, but it doesn't really
keep
grow.
moving forward.
Oh yes, yeah, So when we talk about me retiring from the orchestra and all of that, I'm so thankful for all of these young people that are in there, because they're going to be the ones that'll keep the orchestra going, and so it's a great mix of young and old. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting too how you kind of say you started from that, just reaching out to people and that really kind of focused community basis. Because I feel like that's still what's driving this, is a lot of teachers are now recruiting their students.
Absolutely. I have students, quite a few. Ed, certainly all of us have students that come back. But it's been great because most of you that come back, had good high school experience. Most of you, I would say maybe all, have had college playing experience, and so it isn't like we don't get many people that don't play, quit playing when they're a senior in high school and come back 8 years later and say, well, I'd really like to play again. We mostly have people that have continued to play throughout their lives.
Because you cultivate that experience in high school.
Absolutely. And that creates the best players too. So yeah.
What is your favorite piece that you've worked with the group on?
Oh my goodness. Oh.
I know, big question.
It is. We've had I'm not going to be able to come up with a piece. There have been several.
Cop-out answer.
It is a cop-out answer. All right, okay, so if you're going to be that way about it, a piece that we've done a couple times that our orchestra plays really well is Pines of Rome. And for some reason, that piece, it's miserably hard in places, and yet it works for our orchestra. Some pieces just do. And that has been really, really fun. And the last time we did it, we had a big orchestra, we had a good orchestra, and then the last movement, the Pines of the Appian Way, the big, to do and everything. And we had members of the Lake Wobegon Brass Band come and join us as well, and they were up in behind, and it was really loud. Yeah, it was no fun being a viola player,
Rarely is.
Yeah, but that's a biggie, We've done Stravinsky Firebird Suite, which is terrific. Tchaikovsky Romeo and Juliet was a piece that played well for us. Just a year ago, we did this premiere of The Singing Wilderness by Matthew Peterson, which was a great experience. The Goretzky Symphony that we did. I've had a chance to do a few of my pieces. For me, the best experience I've had with my music was a piece called Echoes from a Country Church, which we're going to do in April again. That was big for me. I wrote it in dedication to my dad, who had passed away that year before, and so it was memorable for that. But it became even more memorable as a piece that a lot of people really related to, and the orchestra played it fantastic. It was a great experience. So that was terrific. And then, we have our holiday concerts, and you can't go wrong. The holiday concerts and the July 3rd concerts, when people are cheering for Stars and Stripes Forever, or when the veterans are standing up during Armed Forces Salute, oh my goodness, it's a fantastic thing. Yeah. And the holiday concerts, you just can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong with
No,
sleigh ride.
you just can't. I mean, that's the way it is. That's perfect, Yeah.
It kind of goes back again to that community.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. So, and if we want to talk about that for just a second, that's been one of surprisingly one of the things that has been incredible for us, and we never thought of it when we started, but virtually every concert we've done has been in the Anoka High School auditorium. And so with that, people know exactly where we're going to be. So we're fairly predictable in terms of when, where, and all of that. And it's huge for our audience.
Sure.
They're not having, we just know that people like to know where things are. So they're not having to search and say, now where's the symphony going to be playing? At this point, this is where we are. This is where we go. And because of that, we get such nice, pretty big audiences for a community group, and a good following. So
Dedicated fans.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, related to your favorite piece, even though there's not just one favorite.
Yeah.
What would you say you're most proud of accomplishing with the orchestra?
Well,
Maybe it's not related to your favorite piece.
No, well, it's related to all of the pieces in the fact that we're a good enough orchestra to be able to play, the real deals. Okay, that we have played, many symphonies, that we've played, Here's one of the cool things is that when I'm driving and I have NPR on, usually within a period of time that I'm listening, I can say, yeah, we did that. Or, I conducted that, and so on. And to me, that's really, really cool. That as that radio station is playing, kind of the hits, you know, and all of this, that so often we can say, yeah, we did that, you know, and, you know, we're not so naive to think that it's not at the level of, you know, the New York Phil or whoever is recording and being played on that, but we did it, and for the most part, you know, I feel like we've played it and done it how it's supposed to be done. So for me, that's a huge accomplishment, and again, so fortunate in the fact that we've been able to consistently have the instrumentation to be able to do these things. And that, I don't think that happens everywhere, and without an awful lot of work or money. You know, sometimes orchestras have to pay in order to fill out those sections. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned too, we're one of the larger community orchestras.
Well, I think so, in terms of size and number of, and you know, that basically comes down to string players. The wind sections, wind and percussion sections, you know, that's fairly set, you know, in an orchestra. Generally, it's, you know, 2 of each and 4 horns and 3 trumpets and 3 trombones and 2. You don't add to that, you know. But we're so lucky this upcoming concert. Ed was telling me, I think we have 40 violins playing, you know, and 11 violas and 10 cellos or something, and the 4 basses. Well, I think that's, for a community group, I think that's fairly uncommon.
Thinking back over the years at NSO, what have been some of the kind of most memorable moments?
Well, there certainly are, you know, so many, and like I've said, you know, the performance things and all of that. We've had some great soloists with the group, and I will tell you, this is honest, that for me personally, as the conductor, that's always the hardest thing. It's the most difficult thing to conduct with a soloist, and you know, the reason being is that obviously the soloist knows the piece backwards and forwards, you know, and oftentimes for me it might be the first and only time I've ever done it, and soloists have their way of doing things. They have their you know, they sometimes will be a little flexible in tempos and those sorts of things, and that can be really difficult sometimes to just kind of keep that together. We've had some that have made it really easy. There's been some that it's been a challenge, you know, and I can think back on some of those, and that I have a little bit more gray hair than I maybe should have because of that. So, but that's been a great thing to have with our soloists. It's very important for the orchestra and the audience to experience that. That's been fabulous. You know, we talked about it's been so fantastic to perform some of the great composers' music and all of this. I was just telling the story to the orchestra. Wow, the upcoming concert we're doing Appalachian Spring, Copland's Appalachian Spring. And when I was a student, very young, I think I was 18, and I was going to a college down in Missouri. I found out that one of my instructors had lined it up for me to study with Copland for a year, to work with him, to move to New York and do that, and had been accepted, and I didn't know about it, you know, but Copland had said, "Yep, I'll do that," and then he called back a few weeks later and said he decided to quit teaching. So I missed it by a year, but you know, it's kind of fun still to have that story, and it's fun to play the music and think a little bit about, you know, what might have been, you know, and that's really great. It's fun to think about my teachers and learning from them, and the fact that the one teacher I had at the university was a student of Hindemith's. So it's cool to think back and say, I'm sort of once removed from Hindemith, and other things that, there's just so much that goes with the orchestra, in terms of setting up and taking down and moving stuff. I mean, that never ends, and all of that. Going to Boston's afterwards, after a concert, and having a beverage, usually I don't have supper before a rehearsal, and so after a rehearsal, going and having supper and sitting around with a bunch of the folks, after concerts, getting together. That's just so fun, and it's not. I should say, you want to say it's a big family, but no, we're friends. We're better than family. We're actually friends. So, yeah. So those are things that I take from the orchestra, and it's really been great.
So again, you're coming up on full-time retirement here.
Yeah.
What are some things you're looking forward to with your full-time retirement?
Well, people in the orchestra know that I when I retired from school teaching, that I bought a place up north. So I live 3 hours north from where we rehearse, and so I suppose if you're going to look forward to anything, there will be a little less driving. And a little less gas, spent, and all of that. That's not the reason to retire, but that'll be fine. I loved the outdoors, and I love to fish and hunt and snowmobile and ride ATVs and just being out in my yard and doing outdoor stuff, and there'll be some more time to do that. I'll hopefully continue to write music and hope that people will still call once in a while to ask for a piece of music. We all get to that age where it could end at any time in terms of people saying, well, Mike who, and there won't be as much. I know that, but there'll be some. And so I just look forward to it just being a little quieter and a little less running around, and again, that's not the reasons for retiring. The reasons are, it's been over 20 years, and I really think that some new thoughts coming from the podium is going to be really healthy for the orchestra, and really, really great. And whoever they end up hiring, they'll be very good. The committee and the orchestra is going to be very good about picking a person that's going to work really well with them. And so that's exciting also, to do that. And so it's just time. And we always joke about that. You kind of want to maybe be done when things are still going well, and that they're not hopefully having meetings about, geez, how are we going to get rid of this guy, and all that. So I think it's just a really, really good time to do it, and so I'm looking forward to it, and we'll still feel sad and maybe a little empty, at times. To not be on the podium,
sure.
to not be that guy in charge, and all of that. So, yeah.
Well, and that's a really kind of natural segue to my next question.
Yeah.
Of what advice would you have for candidates in the candidate search for NSO? What do you see as important characteristics for an NSO director?
Well, that person is going to have some patience. But that's with any group. I think that what's going to be so good for that person, whoever it is, and the orchestra, is maybe, to have their own expectations and to insist on those sorts of things, and there's going to be, I think the orchestra is going to be thrilled to have somebody else saying, you need to fix that. You're out of tune there, or whatever, and it's all going to be different that way, but I think that's going to be really good. Certainly a new conductor, we will hope will be personable and good with, remembering that there's nobody in that orchestra that has to be there. That everybody is there because they love to play, they want to be, but if it was ever a case where it isn't any fun, they wouldn't be there. Nobody would stick around if it wasn't fun or a good experience that way. And so that's really important. I think that the conductor knows that. There's certainly going, a conductor's going to have to realize there's certainly various abilities in the orchestra, in terms of players and what they can do. And I think it's really important that the conductor works well with the committees, whether it be the board of directors or the music selection committee or anybody like that, because those folks know kind of the abilities of the orchestra, And then on the other hand, a new conductor might bring out way different abilities of the orchestra. It's possible the new person is going to bring out things that the orchestra never thought they could do. I think that it's going to be really, really healthy for the orchestra to find out what new directions they can go and how they can play. I hope, yeah.
Last question I have for you here. What are you going to miss the most?
I think that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be easy, but I think it is. I can't even begin to tell you what it's like to watch the orchestra trying as hard as they can to make it work. To in a performance, to feel the intensity of concentration, and wanting it to be as good as they possibly can. That's an incredible feeling from the podium, and that happens a lot in this orchestra, a lot. And I think that's what I truly will miss the most, is that the actual performance moment.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes rehearsal too that way, but that concentration and the desire to play the best you can and do your best, I think that's an incredible thing, and a thing that I'll never forget, and I will miss it, but I have so many of those memories, and even for an old guy that forgets so many things, I can think back on hundreds of moments where I'm going, geez, they're doing it, and you can feel it. You can feel it in the audience even, when things are really going well, and it's just such great moments going on, you can feel it in the entire room, from the orchestra all through the audience. That concentration, and that's a great thing, a great feeling.
Well, thanks so much for sitting in with us, Mike.
Well, thanks for having me. This
Congratulations
has been
on your coming retirement.
Thank you. Well, we have a few notes to play yet. Yeah.
Yes.
This has been great. Thank you for having me, and this is terrific.
Thank you.
So.